Another great winter webinar series. And this one's a little bit different because we've got leaders on all over from North America. So let us know where you're joining us. What part of the cold part of the United States or Canada are you joining us from? Or are you the one state? I saw Kathy a little like meme on Instagram. Everything's blue except for Florida is still red and orange, right? It's kind of crazy. And it said Florida has decided not to participate in winter today. Anyways, let us know where you're joining us from. And when you are commenting, make sure to change your comments to everyone, not just panelists, hosts and panelists. So change it to everyone so everyone can see where you're joining us from. Also, if you're a first timer, do me a favor, add that to the chat as well. If this is your first Glover U webinar, and you're a leader out there in North America, add that if this is your first time joining us for a Glover U webinar. So for those that are not familiar, my name is Jeff Glover. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Been listing and selling real estate now for 24 years this May, believe it or not. And I think one of the reasons why we're growing at the rate we're growing at, and when I say we're, I'm referring to Glover U, is because I'm still in the trenches with you. Just to give you an idea, I am personally involved in listing and selling real estate, but also leading a team of 32 full-time salespeople that does about 1,000 units per year. So pretty high per person productivity. So we know exactly what you're dealing with, and that's why we're here today. I also have a special guest on. She's not just special because she knows this conversation well. She's special because it was the person that took a chance on me to run one of her offices. For those that are brand new to us, you may or may not have heard this. You probably haven't heard the story if you're new to us. Back in '05, after I'd only been in real estate sales for about 18 months, a lady by the name of Kathy Schweitzer and her husband Paul owned the largest Coldwell banker in Michigan. They had 16 locations, and they took a chance on me to run one of their offices. So when I look at everything we do today as it relates to my recruiting skills, my retention skills, my leadership skills, it all started under her leadership. And so, for those that are not familiar, Kathy Schweitzer is also the CEO of Glover U, but she's held pretty much every role you could imagine in a real estate company. And what I appreciate about Kathy is she's still in the trenches as a leader. Aside from coaching some of the biggest brokerages and teams around North America, she still shows up every week for our Monday 10 a.m. call with our team. She's very active in what we're doing. Every time we're using a new recruiting tactic or a new marketing tactic to get more recruiting leads into our funnel, she's aware of it, and she's very involved as it relates to in the trenches, doing a lot of the things that we're doing day in and day out. So before we get into today's content, I do want to make sure you guys have the workbook because there are a handful of resources in there that you can be using with your agents. I'll have them drop that in the chat as well. There it is. And if I can have the resources page brought up on the screen from the workbook, that would be great. I just want to point out a couple quick resources that you guys should be using with your agents. First things first is the daily message. If you're not familiar, we've got over 20,000 subscribers receiving the daily message. We have real estate leaders and brokerages running teams and companies that use the daily message as part of their onboarding. Why is that? Why would they use the daily message as part of their onboarding? Well, because every day, every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday, I write a message that's specifically designed to help your real estate agents list and sell more real estate. And so, first of all, as a leader, you should have your hands on it. And it's also something that you probably should be assigning to your agents as well. So here's how you get your hands on it. If you're not currently subscribed, I'm going to gift you a subscription now. Take out your cell phones and open up your text messages. It's very simple. You're just going to text the word morning to 55444. Text the word morning. They'll probably throw that in the chat as well. Text the word morning to 55444. That's how you get your hands on the daily message. Even as a leader, I have leaders, Kathy, all the time, and I know you're coaching some of our best clients. They'll
Yep.
say, Jeff will go on a rant for a week straight on how to help us get prices reduced. And I'll take every single one of those tactics and I'll put them into a training program. And that's my training for my next meeting. So even if you don't use it as onboarding, definitely take what I'm sharing in the daily message and consider adding it to your training program. So that's the first resource I wanted to make sure everyone had their hands on. And the second one that was up there, uh, they're throwing it back up there, is the 2026 Agent Business Plan. Every year, our business plan gets an update based on the needs of the real estate agents today and the needs of the industry and the market. And so, if you want to get your hands on and you want to have your agents use the exact same plan that we'll be operating from or we're operating from already this year, you can go to gloveru.com/plan, gloveru.com/plan. That'll get you a copy of my 2026 business plan, the same one we recommend your agents use. It'll also get you a 90-minute instructional video, which explains how to complete the plan. So it's really plug and play. Get that plan downloaded for you and your agents to use. We have agents and leaders all over North America using that business plan. Why? Because it works. It's the exact same one that we're using today. So, Kathy, we just finished up a Glover U leadership meeting, and we talked about
Yep.
how in the last 2 years, this is no exaggeration for those of you that are joining us for the first time, in the last 2 years, we have added over 2.5 million in commissions to a team. By the way, that probably does happen. If a team's brand new and they have like a breakout year, that probably does happen. But this is to a company that's been in business since 2009. 2.5 million in commissions in the last 2 years. And oh, by
Yep.
the way, when your mind goes to, oh, well, you must have added a bunch of agents. It's the same agent count today as it was 2 years ago. 2.5 million in commissions. We just announced that this morning on our leadership call. And Kathy, I know a lot of what you're going to cover today is going to talk about how we've been able to do that. But also, yes, there is a recruiting element to it, but really it's a big focus on per person productivity. So, anyways, for those that are not aware, Kathy not only groomed me to be the leader that I am today, I trust her with this conversation as obviously she's running the company and working with some of our best clients and runs our team and brokerage building course for those that don't get to work with her personally. So, Kathy, take it away.
All right, cool. So we're here to talk about the productivity advantage, right? Which is one of my favorite topics ever because I've experienced so much in my career of leading companies in the Detroit area and Boston area, and now with Glover Agency and Taylor, is how you can win with per person production. So one thing I want to throw out to everyone before we begin is we had Jesse Cole last week speak to us at our summit, actually 2 weeks ago, from the Savannah Bananas. He was our keynote speaker, and man, he hit a home run. But one thing that he said that I want everyone to write down on the top of your book or page one: normal gets normal results. Normal gets normal results. So when we talk about per person production and increasing and having the productivity advantage, there is a lot of meat to this content. I'm going to give you a lot of information. Okay, we dive deep into the tactical advantages in our team and broker building class. So I want you to remember that normal gets normal results. So today we're going to be talking about what you need to do to have the productivity advantage in your marketplace by increasing your per person production, the skills as a leader, and to increase your per person production, and how to do it with retention, recruiting, training, and coaching. So there's a lot that I'm going to give you today, but it's all in the design is for you to think about two or three things that you're going to walk away with that's going to cause you to increase your per person production. So, what are the top three reasons to focus on increasing your per person production? Number one, the top three reasons why to focus on increasing per person production. You increase your income, period. What a novel idea, right? In today's market with brokerages and with teams, the profit margins are slim. Everyone feels it. We know that in our industry in a whole that it's like that. So the number one advantage of increasing your per person production is to actually increase your income. And I think everyone, wants to do that because the more income you have come in, the more you can invest in the business. Okay. Number two, what are the top three reasons? Retention. Retention. Highlight it, star it. Agents want to work in a productive environment. That's what their desire is. So they want to work where the culture is strong and the per person production is strong. Now, when I say that, culture has a big meaning, but a piece of it is a positive, fun, productive culture is what they're looking for, and also one that has a lot of structure, right? So Jeff just alluded to the per person production at Glover Agency, which is very high with 34 agents doing 1,000 units.
Yeah, it
So
works out
that
to
is retention. Go ahead.
27 units per person or something like that. And
Yeah.
that is even if you back out our top producer, it's still in the
Yeah.
low 20s, like 23, 24 units per person, which is a good activity everyone should be doing.
Yeah, I'm going to take them through it for 1 minute. So there's a lot of content. Number three, why we do is recruiting productive agents. A huge piece of your value proposition is your per person production. What is the advantage to the agent? I want you to write this down. What is the advantage to the people you're trying to bring on if the per person production is high? Say that fast 5 times. Per person production. But it is a great draw when you're recruiting productive agents. And we're going to talk about how that is a great way to increase that PPP number. So, next thing I want you to write down is how do I figure out my per person production? How do I figure it out? Now, it's a no brainer. And some of you are like, Kath, we know how to do that. But I want to remind everyone because I've learned that a lot of people don't. You have to take the total number of your transactions and divide it by the number of agents. Jeff, you told me numerous times this is the ultimate measuring stick. It's the ultimate measuring stick in a business.
Yeah, it gives you an indication of how your leadership personally, it's kind of, and it might be a little bit of a gut punch for some of you, but it kind of gives you an indication of how you're doing with your leadership and also how your systems are supporting production. Because if you have several years in a row where your product per person productivity dips downward, well, that's an indication that your leadership and your systems are not able to stand the test of time in this new way of listing and selling real estate that we live in. So it really is a good, healthy measuring stick for how to measure your progress as a leader. Per person productivity increases every year for the last several years. You're doing all the right things. If it's been flat or down, we need some more.
And that's what we're here to talk about. So, number one, you have to take the total number of transactions and divide it by the number of agents, obviously. Number two, we always say take off the top 20%. That's the real number. Now, for the larger companies, that's easy to do. If you have a smaller team, you're going to take off like the top agent. Okay. That's where you get the true number of a per person production. So, what we're talking about and is how to figure out your per person production. That was number two. Take off the top 20% or top one or two people. Number three, how to figure out your PPP and move forward with it. Make a game plan. You got to make a game plan with a per person production. Take your per person production number, look at it honestly, what it is now, and make up your mind to add 2 transactions a year. 2 transactions a year and do a 5 year plan. Do a 5 year plan. So you need to make a game plan. That's critical. Okay. So how to figure out your per person production, how to grow it. Number three is you have to make a game plan to grow it. We suggest that you just write down, depending on the size of your team or brokerage, that you add 2 a year. So think of it like this. Point number four. Take the goal of adding 2 more a year for 5 years. Time your average income per transaction. So that's number four. So you're going to add two per person production, increase it by 2 a year. So for example, at Schweitzer, Jeff, you remember when we started this? We did a
Yep.
5 year plan. We had 750 agents. We had 6 transactions per person.
Yep.
Every year for 5 years, we set a goal to grow it by 2 transactions per person. We ended up with 16 transactions per person.
Yep.
So that was a huge deal
Yeah.
because what we did is every year we actually put that number in all of our offices and we
Yeah, I
sold the
remember that. Just two
benefit.
more. Just two more.
Yeah,
I remember that the
just two
banner being
more.
up in my office. So
Yeah,
for anyone that's like just two more deals per year, that doesn't sound like much. Well, listen, yes, if you're running an organization of 7 or 8 agents, well then yes, that's not going to move the needle at all.
yeah,
But if you're running an organization with hundreds of agents, moving up to a year, I mean, that's in 5 years, that's 10 more transactions. if the average per person productivity of most real estate offices today is only four, five, six deals per person, you add 10 to that, you go from 5 to 15, that is a massive change in your business and in your profits. And so, obviously for those of you that are running smaller teams, you might be going with a little bit of a bigger number there because you only have 7 or 8 agents that are in production anyways. But for those of you that are running larger organizations, two is not going to be easy. I know it doesn't sound like a lot,
It
but
does.
when you're running a regular real estate brokerage or you have a large network or downline, two per year increase moves the needle quite a bit times that many agents.
Absolutely. So, what I would challenge everyone to do is actually write down your plan for 5 years to grow it. And then I want you to write down how much income that means to all of you. I have two clients doing that now for 2026. So, they have it all around their office, exactly what the per person production is. And they've gathered the team around to get excited and the brokerage. So, one of them is a large brokerage. So,
Nice.
anyway, your per person production, you need to actually know it, get excited about it, and you as the leader needs to see what the impact can be in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. Okay. So next thing we're going to talk about, we went what are the top 3 reasons, how to figure it out, and now the skills needed to increase your per person production. So Jeff, you talked about this big time recently, and I took copious notes. So I want
Mhm.
everyone to write down the skills needed to increase your per person production in 2026. Number one, I want you to write down the skill of genuinely showing your people you love them. Jeff, you said that so loud and clear on the stage that
Mhm.
we have to understand that when they know that you love them, your per person production goes up because people stay or go based on how you make them feel. Put your
Yes.
people first. So the
Yes.
skills needed as a leader to increase your per person production.
And here's
Number
why
one,
that's important. Here's why that's important, Kathy,
yep,
because if they don't know that you love them, like you truly love them, then they think it's just a vanity number. They think it's just to hit a profit goal. They
yeah.
think it's just so you get more vacations and they get to stay back and continue working harder. They got to know that it is for their benefit, and they're going to know that it's for their benefit when they know that you care.
Exactly. Love that. Probably one of my favorite points, of course. Of course. Okay, the skills needed to increase your per person production in 2026. Number 2, teach your agents how to create their own brand. Teach your agents how to create their own brand. So when they have their own brand, they feel more not so, I mean, you help them create their own brand, which causes them to want to stay, which gets them more excited about producing, right? So
Yeah.
teach your agents how to create their own brand. That's number 2.
Or do it for them. You want to talk
Yeah,
retention, help. Don't just give them the instructions or the playbook. Actually help them create it. That absolutely will not only lead to longer tenure and retention, but also lead to more agents wanting to join your company because they see all of a sudden all of your agents are starting to brand themselves in a really cool way.
right. Absolutely. So that is something that Glover Agency we do really good at is help them brand their own brand. Okay. So the next point, number 3, the skill of staying in constant state of self-improvement. So I'll challenge all the leaders on here, Jeff, like you always challenge us, is what are you doing in 2026 to get to the next level for your self-improvement?
Mhm.
Okay. So when they watch you improve, it makes them want to improve.
Yeah.
So that's number 3. Number 4, the skill
Yeah,
to up.
everyone, Kathy, should have a
Yep.
skill improvement plan. You should have a list of conferences that you plan on attending, a list of conferences that you plan on bringing your agents to, whether they're ours or somebody else's. You're gonna get you're going to get more out of your agents when they hear from someone other than you. And that's why events like ours do such a good job of that because you're using our system, but they're hearing it from someone else. You're never a prophet in your own land. That's the advantage of getting all your agents on an airplane and getting out of your market and hearing from someone else.
Yeah, I love that. That makes complete sense. Okay. Point number 4, the skill to update your value proposition, even if it's against what you always believe in. Now, Jeff, I love when you said that. So tell us what that means to you.
Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to just I'll use the branding as a for instance, or no, I'll use lead generation. I'll use lead generation. a lot of real estate teams, um, have the mindset, well, if I teach the agents how to go out and generate their own leads, then they're going to leave me. They're going to quit. They're all going to go do their own things. And so, the example of even when it kind of goes against what you believe, stems from that exact situation. What is the opposite of that? The opposite is, okay, what if I teach them so well that they love me more because of it and they're not going anywhere? And by the way, it challenges me to be better as a leader, and so I'm forced to constantly go back to the drawing board and
Yep.
make sure I'm sharing with them the latest, greatest tools to help them generate their own business. You help them generate their own business, you reduce your expenses for those you leading teams because you don't have as big of a lead spend. And maybe you pay them a little bit more on those deals or whatever. So your revenue on those transactions might be lower, but your bottom line increases.
Absolutely. So here's a challenge I face, or I want to challenge everyone listening to this call. What is the last time you introspected and updated your value proposition? When we go to build our per person production and become the productivity advantage in your market, you must have the strongest value proposition in the land. Okay. And what I've learned is a lot of leaders don't take the time to introspect it, go back to it, make sure everyone's aware of it in their offices and also all the recruits. So again, in the team and broker building class that I'm teaching, we go into a deep dive into the value prop and why it's so critical with retention and recruiting. So I'll challenge, when was the last time you introspected your value prop and actually rewrote it, dug deep, and updated it? Okay. So the skills needed to increase your
And
per
just a
person
quick tip
production.
on that,
Yep.
Kathy. The best thing anyone on this session can do is pay attention to who's winning right now. Just look at every market. There's a handful of people where you know who's winning because you every time you turn around, someone's joining their company. That agent went there. This agent went there. Holy smokes! Every time I turn around, it seems like someone's joining that team or someone's joining that company. Go study them. What is it that they're doing differently? Find out exactly what it is they're doing differently. Like I know an example of one in our market. We found out what they're doing differently, and we're introducing something that is going to essentially one up them. It's going to be of a better value to the agents, and it's not something that we're going to charge them for. So find out who's trending, go study what they're doing, and think about how to do what they're doing better.
Yeah, I love that. So study who's trending. I love that. Okay, next point. The skills needed to increase your per person production. Number 5, do a survey of your agents. When was the last time you did a survey of your agents, everybody? Do you know what they're thinking? Do you know of the things that they would like to have as a company? So make sure that you're surveying your agents so you can get in their heads. And remember, our job is to find if there's problems that you discover with a survey, is what can be in a solution that's a win-win for all. So I love that one. Next point under the skills needed to increase your per person production,
And by the
number
way,
6.
Kathy, on that, when you
Yeah,
do the
sorry.
survey, be prepared for some brutally honest people. Make it anonymous. You have to make it anonymous because you want them to be honest. But here's the deal: they're going to tell you what part of your value prop. Make sure you have some questions in there that ask them what part of the value proposition do you get the most value from? What part of the current value proposition do you not use at all? What part of the value proposition would you like more of? They're going to tell you what the value proposition should be.
Yeah, and we'll give that also in team and broker building. We outline exactly what that looks like. So
Perfect.
next point under uh the skills needed to increase your per person production, without a doubt, the skill of being a strong recruiter. The skill of being a strong recruiter, in particular for productive agents. And we're going to go into that in a few minutes, a little deeper dive into that so you have some more specifics. But at the end of the day, retention and growing your agents within your company through strong training and coaching, that's how you can increase your per person production. But you've got to learn the skill of recruiting productive agents because that is a game changer. And again, this is called the productivity advantage, right? Our goal is to have the productivity advantage in the marketplace so we attract productive agents. So that's critical. I don't even think we need to say anything more about that.
Well,
But
I'm
that's,
glad you're going to go. I'm glad you're going to cover it a little bit further.
yeah,
I know a lot of people on this session are probably thinking, or if you end up catching the replay, well, I've always liked newbies because they don't because experienced agents bring bad attitudes or bring bad habits. Well, no, you like newbies because newbies are easier. And it's a little bit of creative avoidance. And yeah, sure, maybe you can get a newbie to do things you want the way you want. However, the data shows that the time you spend recruiting, training, developing newbies, 90% of it is for nothing because of the failure rate of this industry. And so everyone on this session deserves to be in business with experienced producing agents. And for most of you, the reason why you're not spending the time doing it is because you have a limiting belief that you don't deserve to be in business with producing agents, and we got to knock that off.
yeah, you do have to knock it off because it's totally not realistic. And again, like anything else, there's a system to it, there's a skill to it. But doing it myself for so many years, in the field for 10 years, doing it and doing it successfully, it's not rocket science. But there is a skill and a tactic to it for sure. Okay, so next point under the skills needed to increase your per person production in 2026, the skill of teaching your agents on making contacts today. So, Jeff, I love that one. He deemed 2026 the year of the contact. So, you want to jump in on that real quick?
Yeah,
There's,
there's so many. I think what's happening in the industry right now is there's so many magic wands. There's so many ways to do this. Your agents get served ads left and right. Make $1 million selling real estate without ever picking up the phone. I mean, there's so much junk in front of our agents right now. And if you want to increase your per person productivity in 2026, just do what we did. And we declared 2026 the year of the contact. All of the agents that you may have sent to the Phoenix Summit 2 weeks ago, they know. Just ask them, what does it mean? What does the year of the contact mean? I can tell you what it means for us is every single agent has a crystal clear number that they have to hit every day in order to hit their year-end goals. You tie the contacts with the closings. You figure out what their average contact per closing is. Maybe it's 50 contacts to a closing, maybe it's 75, maybe it's 200. You figure out what that is for each one of your associates. You divide that number, once you figure out what you want their goal to be in 2026, you divide that closings, I'm sorry, you multiply the closings times the average contact per closing and divide it by 250. That's about how many working days there are. And that's how many contacts they have to make per day. And so I know I just gave what sounded like a convoluted formula. It isn't. Okay. You just look at what is your average contacts per transaction. How many deals do you want next year? Figure out what that total number is, divided by 250. That gets you an average contact per day. Every single one of our agents knows their contact goal per day. That is our focus for, I mean, by the way, we've been doing that a long time, but we are kind of fed up with all the distractions and disruptions and everything in the industry today. If you just boil it down to that, you are doing a service for your agents by putting them in position to hit their goals, which of course is going to increase your per person productivity.
excellent. Love that. Dead on. There's no doubt if you have everyone doing that consistently, the PPP goes up. And you and I were part of that together, Jeff, and
Yep.
in the old days of everyone making
Yeah.
contacts every
By the
day.
way, I love the idea of attaching a penalty to it. You see there in the chat,
Yeah.
Lyra Wilkerson, $100 on Sundays. And by the way, that's a positive penalty because the church is still winning, but it's painful because maybe you normally give $20 or maybe you give $40. So it's painful because it's 100. You see that in the chat there. So I like the idea of having a penalty in place. I have coaching clients that they have to go into the office on Saturday morning if they don't hit 100 contacts by Friday. They have
Yep.
until Friday to hit 100 contacts. And if they're at 82, they got to go in Saturday morning and make 18 more contacts. They have to get in their car and drive to the office first thing Saturday morning and make up for those. So I love that. I love the idea of having a penalty attached to it.
Nope, I do too. And that works too for leaders, by the way, with recruiting. So the next skill is displaying a strong morning routine for yourself.
Mm.
So if you want to increase the per person production, the bottom line is lead by example, right? So what is your routine for recruiting productive agents? What is your routine for getting on the phone and, reaching out every day? So lead by example, right?
Yeah.
Next point under the skills needed to increase your per person production in 2026. Love this one, guys. Everybody on this call needs to understand that we have to focus on teaching a listing first business. Now, we know we will have people, and agents that work with buyers. We all know that. And running large companies myself for years and years, if it was, 60 or 70 or 80% listings, we were super happy, right? But you've got to focus on a listing first business if you want to make sure that your per person production goes up, period. Um, I don't think we have to say much more about that unless there's anything you want to say about it, Jeff.
No, it's just you when you make the decision to be a listing first business, you do have to take into consideration the learning curve. Nobody wants to hear this, but there is a little bit of a step back because you get them so focused on becoming strong listing agents. You teach them the listing presentation, you go through the scripts, you have them present to you, you watch it back and critique it. But because there's so much of a focus on sellers, their buyer business may take a little bit of a dip during this training process. But it's necessary if you want to have a listing first company.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, the last couple points under the skills needed to increase your per person production. We've got to make sure under this point, please make sure you write this down and highlight it. You have to show how the growth benefits the agents. You must show how growth in your company or team benefits agents. Wow. So this is a discussion that's constant because for some reason in our industry, and Jeff, you can jump in on this, I know it, is the fact that sometimes our agents don't understand the benefit of why we grow and why it's important to grow a company.
Yeah.
This area is where all the opportunity is.
Yeah. You have to understand when you get up in front of your company in a sales meeting or an award celebration or whatever, and you talk about, all right, our goal for this year is this. Uh, and if we do this, then we'll be number one here, or we'll be number one in the town, or we'll be this. What does being number one do for me as a real estate agent?
Right.
What does hitting 1,000 units do for me as an agent? What does the company hitting that goal have anything to do with my business? You have to be able to tie it back because you understand most human beings are wired to think that growth of a company means less for them. Less space because we have more agents joining, less of your time, less attention, maybe less leads. You have to understand when you tell your agents you're going to grow, they hear less for me. So all you have to do is, hey guys, this year we're going to grow by adding 7 producing agents, dot, dot, dot. And here's what that'll do for you. If we can have 7 producing agents, that's going to bring in an additional 500,000 in GCI. And here's how we're going to spend. The company operates at a small margin. Let's just say you operated at a 20% margin. That means $100,000, $400,000 is going to go towards expenses. And we're going to implement A, B, and C when we can get those 7 agents to join us. And those, by implementing A, B, and C, here's how that will positively impact your business. You have to understand, they're thinking that when your company grows, less for them. You got to show them how it actually ends up being more for them.
I love that. That's one of the best things you can do for culture, right? And you cannot expect the agents to get excited until they know what's in it for them.
Yeah.
What is in it for me? Remember, if you walk away with anything today, I want you to write down when it comes to retention and growth and increasing your per person production, you've got to share with them what's in it for them. And again, we spend a lot of time in detail on that in the class, the Team and Broker Building class. So, okay, the last thing I want to say under the skill that leaders need to get better at and do better at in 2026 to increase their per person production is the skill of connecting with everyone in the company, not just your favorites. So, everyone put a big smile on your face, right? So one of the things we know is, and again, it's kind of hard if you have a big company. And again, I come from the background of large companies. When I had 250 people in Boston and I have, 700 at Schweitzer, it's hard to keep in touch with people. But what we did with the large companies, just so you know, anybody out there, is we just quartiled the company. And I went in and I said, okay, I'm going to reach out to this many people each week. I had a very old fashioned 3x5 card and I wrote down like 15, 20 people I was going to reach out every week. And then our leadership did the same thing. So make sure that you are connecting with everyone. They need to feel your passion. They need to feel your leadership. And again, it is a feeling because understand, and I want you to write this down as we get into how to increase your per person production with retention. People make the decision to come, stay, or go based on how they feel. Okay. So the skill of connecting with everyone in the company, Josh, not just your favorites. Any thoughts on that, Jeff?
Well, the best way you can do that, and I'll never forget one of your managers, who was my mentor, Tom Kotzian. He's no longer with us.
Yep, my favorite.
He was somebody who taught me a thing or two, best practices on how to run a real estate company. He taught me the old-fashioned clipboard method,
Yeah,
which is making sure you print off your roster every Monday morning. You have a clipboard and it's got your, I know it sounds a little old fashioned because it was like 15 years ago, but it's still effective today. You print off a roster, you attach it to a clipboard, and that kind of goes everywhere with you, everywhere you go. And every time you touch an agent, you make a notch, and you have to touch 100% of your company, even if it's just a quick text message, something, once per week.
absolutely. And again, those of you that are more techie, you can use the CRM obviously for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I still like the old fashioned way. The key is just connecting. Okay. So let's talk about how to increase your per person production. We've already talked about what are the top reasons to do it. We've talked about how to figure it out. We've talked about the skills that you need to, as a leader, to accomplish it. Now we're going to get into the how, right? So, how to increase your per person production. I want you to write down letter A, retention. Retention. We alluded to this in your skills, but the key that I will challenge everyone is what do you have to do better when it comes to retention? So, as I give you these points, I'm going to challenge you. Look at the list and give yourself an honest assessment. What do you have to improve under these areas? So, let's write down under retention. How to increase your per person production? You got to keep the ones that you want. You got to keep the people at your company. There is so much into retention. I can't give it all to you today. It's too much, but remember retention is the number one goal for recruiting. So write down how to increase your per person production. A, retention. Number one under letter A, retention. MMFI, I just said it. Make me feel important. Every single person that works for you, you have the decision. It is your decision whether they stay or go. Everyone there, you've got to make them feel important, which is what we said about the skill of connecting with everybody. So, what is your touch plan with your agents? Jeff just mentioned how he did the clipboard. I just mentioned what I did. What is your touch point with every agent? Okay. You've got to make sure that they feel good. Why? Because I just said it. And we know that leaders are repeaters, is because people make the decision to stay or go depending on how they feel. Always remember that. And again, it's the little things with our agents on why they leave.
Yeah.
And some, yeah, go ahead,
No,
Jeff.
I was just going to say, um, also keep in mind on that note, it should never be a surprise when an agent is leaving you. Because if you're making them feel important, then you know how they're feeling. Then that means you're meeting with them once a month, or you have someone else on your leadership team meeting with them if your agent count's too high to meet with them, every couple of weeks or whatever. And so it should never be a surprise when someone's leaving your company, as long as you or someone on your leadership team is meeting with them. And so you essentially accomplish two things there. You get the make me feel important in, but also you're never surprised if somebody's leaving you because you're in communication with all of them every single month.
Absolutely. And that's something also with the coaching that we will talk about. It's absolutely critical. The next thing, retention. Number two, to retain people, you must clarify your message. Please write this down. You must have a clear, defined mission, vision, core value, and value proposition. If you want to retain people, they need to know where you're going. How are they part of this big mission, vision, value prop? If you don't know that, they won't participate. It is the foundation of a great culture. Now, some of you, I get it, don't get mad at me because I was one of those people. Oh, yes, we got together with the leadership team and we just decided to come up with a mission. And then it sat on the walls. You probably remember this, Jeff. And it just sat on the walls and no one knew what it was. If you want to retain people and you want to bring people in, you must have a strong, defined mission, vision, core values, and value proposition. Absolutely critical. Any comments on that, Jeff?
No, and the thing is, you don't have to get everyone involved, but you do have to
No,
get,
right.
you know, get your top producer, get the guy who's been with you the longest, get the gal who very much is connected to this part of the business, or she's known as the culture queen because she always puts the stuff together, right? Like, get pick and choose the people that are going to be involved in creating this for the company. But it definitely you're not going to get their buy-in if it's your mission, vision, values. It's got to be everyone's. You don't get me wrong. You have your own mission, you have your own vision as an individual. That's fine. We're not debating that. In fact, that's probably something that Kathy can help you with if you get a chance to work with her. But what we're referring to is the mission, vision, values of your company. They cannot be yours. They are your company's. That means they are your staff's. They're your associates. You got to involve them in that if you truly want them to live out the mission, vision, values.
And that's also something, Jeff, that we show exactly in the class about how to you actually do it in the
Yeah.
video about what you did, and it is a group activity and it's
Yeah.
awesome. So
Yeah.
that's critical. The next point under retention is accountability. Accountability. If you want to retain people, remember just under this point, accountability is the greatest form of caring. That's it. Okay, so you have to have something in your company with coaching and training that holds them accountable. Remember, accountability is the greatest form of caring. Don't forget that.
And
Okay?
sometimes you have to remind them of that. Understand? And Kathy, this is a great question to ask. On a scale from one, everyone on this session should ask their agents this question. On a scale from 1 to 10 in 2026, okay, write this down. In 2026, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being extreme, like in my face, make me want to quit if I don't do it, one being none at all, and five being like moderate. Scale from 1 to 10. How much accountability would you like from me and the company in 2026 in helping you hit your goals? Give me permission to be an 8 or a 9, or give me permission to be a 1 or a 2 and leave you alone. You tell me. Everyone on this session should be involving your leadership team in that conversation with your agents, especially this time of year.
Love that. That's a great question. I'm glad you did that. Okay, the last point under retention, then we'll jump into productive agent recruiting and give you a few thoughts on that. How to increase your per person production retention. The next point I want you to write down, which is point number 4, is leverage. The one thing that agents are looking for, the people there or the people that you're going to bring on, is leverage. What I mean is they're looking for what are you going to take off my plate so that I can spend my time out producing or with my family, frankly. So just so you know, you don't have to pay for everything.
Yeah.
Okay. But you've got to understand that when you retain people, they're looking for leverage.
There's this idea, Kathy, that producing agents just want better splits and more money. Uh,
Yeah,
you'd be surprised how many producing agents actually will take less money if it means they get more time back.
exactly. 100%. And people, again, they come to a culture that's positive, that's productive, that's enjoyable. And the number one reason why people come or go is not the money. That has never been that way, ever in the history. Now, you will have one or two people that say that, but usually the underlying factor is if they leave or you're not retaining them, is that they don't feel special. Okay. And we talked about that. All right. So I'm going to give you a few points to wrap this up for increasing your per person production is recruiting productive agents, right?
That's surely a quick way to raise it. Just bring in producers.
Exactly. Again, which is why we do spend a lot of time on that. Watch, it doesn't mean you're not going to bring on new people. They organically will grow the more you bring on producers. Okay. So I'm going to share with you the top 5 sources for recruiting productive agents right now. And then again, in the team and broker building class, forgive me for keep bringing it up, but I can't help it. We are digging deep into We have 4 sessions on the skills and the ability and what they need to do, what you all need to do to bring on productive agents. So I'm going to give you our top 5 sources. Number one, to recruit productive agents, the old-fashioned phone call, Jeff, the old-fashioned phone call. Now, everyone knows, and Jeff knows that I am a big fan. And I have clients that I'm working with right now, producing clients, meaning they're running companies, right? And they are landing appointments. So I have one, she just took the team in broker building last time, Allie, who she just texted me and she said, okay, I'm finally getting the hang of the scripts, Kathy, and the appointment setting scripts for productive agents. It took me a while. So she said, I can't help it. She said in 5 days, she said had 16 contacts and 9 appointments. Okay. Of productive agents. This is a
Yeah.
text that I got from her.
Yeah.
So I love the old fashioned phone call. I know it's only one way, everybody, but it works. Number two,
Well,
um,
and by the way, Kathy, the reason why I emphasize the good old-fashioned phone call is because less people are making them. So the ones that do
yeah,
actually stand out. It's amazing with all the technology, all the AI, everything we have at our fingertips today. Some of the more traditional methods actually carry more weight than they used to because of not as many people using the traditional methods.
yeah, I love that. I do forget that. So I'm glad you brought that up. So that's working. Number two, old fashioned way, visit agents' open houses. Visit agents' open houses. Here's the thing, everybody. Recruiting, attracting, whatever you want to call it, productive agents is relational. It is about building the relationship. It's why it's about courting them, keeping in touch with them. So it's a great way to get in front of someone is the old-fashioned open houses. During COVID, we couldn't do it because the lines were too long, right? To get in the open houses. But I love that. And I have also clients doing it that are winning. So that's number two, top five. Number three, social media. Social media videos. Number three, social media videos. And what I mean by that is value proposition videos. So you either will do the video yourself as the leader, or you're going to catch your agents in the act of using your value proposition, which I love, or actually your agents will do testimonials. So videos is number three, social media and doing
And
videos. Absolutely
you can
critical.
take those, yeah, you can turn those, you can run ads around those. There's so much you can do with videos talking about your value proposition and or spotlighting your agents using it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. So write this down out of that. Catch your agents in the act. Now, everyone's intimidated by, not everyone, I shouldn't say that. You know me, Jeff, with videos in the beginning, but you can just walk around your office, walk around, whether you have a large company, take your phone and just start videoing people prospecting, people using your value prop, whatever it is. The key is authenticity with it. That's the key. Okay. So, number three, ways that we're getting agents actually to pick up the phone and call us is by our videos on social media. That is absolutely a game changer in today's market. And I could talk about it forever, but we don't have time.
Yeah, and there is an AI element to that.
Yeah.
I know, Kathy, we covered this a couple weeks ago at the summit, and you're going to add this to your team and brokerage building course, how leaders can actually use
Yeah.
AI to help them create recruiting ads. And there's services that actually engage with these agents and get the conversation going to turn it into a lead for you to follow up with. So, we taught the agents how to use AI 2 weeks ago to generate leads at our summit in Phoenix. And as part of Kathy's course, and quite frankly, all of our courses moving forward, my listing mastery course is going to have a segment on that. Basically, how do we use AI to help us generate leads? And in this case, how do we use AI to help us generate producing recruits?
Yeah, I love that. So that's going to be a big thing in well, actually right now. I mean, it's already starting to be something
Yeah.
absolutely massive, and I love it. The next point under top 5 sources is email campaigns. So what we suggest, and again, we'll take a deep dive in this, but what you want to be thinking about is what is your value proposition, and then we send out value proposition based emails. right? So again, you go in your MLS, but they're not just like blanketing people with emails. There's actually a call to action with those emails. And again, if the information is that interesting, you will get a productive agent. We know that 50% of the people don't read their emails, but the other 50% do. And what they're doing is in the subject line, they're seeing um, a strong subject line that gets them to click on something that they're interested in. So, for example, at Glover Agency, we have an incredible database plan. So the email campaigns are going out to productive agents, and we're targeting that. And what we do is we email them the database plan and we ask them if they're interested in more information on the database plan, please click here. That gives us a lead list, and then we pick up the phone and call them. So that is one of the greatest things that you can do, is look at your value prop. And again, we help you with that, is identifying what you can do to email out to agents. In Before we had the call to action with them, emails campaigns were just like, oh, come work for me, and here's why you should work for me, and no one gives a crap
Yeah.
about that. It's
Yeah.
got to have value to it. Anything on that, Jeff?
Yeah, so the formula there is give them, like let's just say for instance, okay, one of the value propositions at the Glover Agency is that we help real estate agents build their database and add value to their database. And that happens to be something that I know, Kathy, you cover our value proposition in your course, so
Yeah.
everyone gets the entire value proposition. But
Yep.
just using that as a for instance, so let's just say there's 7 things we do and or teach the agents to do, we publicly share 5 of them or 3 of them. We run ads on social media to download our database value proposition guide. We are giving away our value proposition for real estate agents to use in our own market. Why are we doing that? Number one, so we can collect their contact information so we can see who's watching our stuff. And number two, we don't always give them everything. So if there's 7 things we're doing, we give them 3. If there's 11 things we're doing, we give them 7. For the rest, they have to meet with us. And if they come meet with us and get the rest of the database value proposition, I'm referring to how a real estate agent can grow a bigger business through their database. When they get the rest, that's when it ends up being a recruiting conversation. That formula works.
It works tremendously. So, the last one I do want to bring up, is the quarterly masterminds, right? So we teach you how to go out into the field and actually invite agents to your quarterly masterminds. And again, this started with Glover Agency, which I love, and now I have a lot of my top clients that are doing it. And they're getting up to 50, 60, 70, 80 people that are attending these mastermind. And it's really a value-based thing, and it's designed to actually help agents. So, um, all right. So as we wrap up today, I just want you to know we give you the exact tactical solutions. So we run through in Team and Broker Building a lot of things, but we go through your mission, your vision, your value prop, your core values, your business models, how to increase your per person production, a deep dive into coaching, training, accountability. And we also spend a lot of time getting into the exact ways, our top 10 recruiting productive agents, sources, and exactly how to do it. So it's not just me verbally telling you, it's actually you can see. And the thing that
Yeah.
we're known for is we give you the tactical solutions and we give you the content.
Kathy, I know I mentioned in the beginning, but like this program can be summed up. By the way, this is the only Kathy's schedule is full. She does not take on any more one-on-one clients right now. Her schedule is full. So if someone were to raise their hand and say, "But I want to work with Kathy," this is your only option. You can work with her for 16 weeks, just like I did as one of her managers in the Team and Brokerage Building course. Now, if you're wondering, it says there 50% new content. Why is that? Well, that's because the industry changes and the markets change. So we're constantly updating the content. I just gave the example of using AI to generate recruiting leads. That's going to be something that's taught in there. That's something that nobody was even talking about AI a year and a half ago. So, Kathy, if I can sum up your program, uh, listen, in 2024, we added $1 million in GCI. In 2025, we added 1.5 million in GCI. $2.5 million in GCI added to our real estate company with 32 full-time salespeople. We had 32, 34 full-time salespeople 2 years ago. How do we do it? That's what is covered in this course. So if you text the word build to 55444, we'll get that flyer thrown back up there. If you text the word build to 55444, that'll get you all the information that you need. When it starts, you see there it's $399 a month for 4 months. I mean, it's $1,600. If you recruit one agent, you're going to make that back. I'd like to think you're probably going to recruit a lot more than one agent from this course. But Kathy, you do recruiting tactics. I know recruiting is like a third of the program, it seems like.
It is.
Retention, increasing your per person productivity. I mean, it really is like, hey, if I wanted to break down what I do and start all over again, the Glover way, or in this case, the Glover and the Schweitzer way, what would I need to do? That's what this is.
Yeah, and we have a lot of large brokerages that have attended and continue to attend, right? Because they need to refresh their mission, their vision.
And
They
they
need
put
to
their team,
refresh
they put their office leadership through it. They put their team leaders or their
totally.
office managers through it. If you have a
Yeah.
recruiter, if you're leading a team and you have a right hand, even somebody who's helping you grow the company, put them through it, or you guys take it together. This isn't just for large brokerages. This is
Yeah.
people that are leading teams and or want to lead teams. Kathy, I know from time to time you have like brand new leaders in this course as well. People that made the
Oh
decision
yeah.
that they wanted to grow a team and wanted to do it the right way because they've heard maybe all the horror stories.
Yeah, no, I love it. So, it doesn't make a difference if you're a team leader of five or one of the most recent people that attended have agents, 500 agents, right? It doesn't make a difference. It's for everyone. The other thing is that I'm very hands-on, right? Coach Jeff knows this. It's one of the things. So I like to create the relationships with the people that are also on the team and broker building. So it's not
Yeah.
just me, out there talking. I also will develop the relationship one-on-one with you, and I look
Yeah.
forward to that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's 45 to 50 minutes of content each week, but it's also interactive. We cap the attendance. We keep the group rather small, so that way you're able to interact with Kathy and ask questions. And there's a private Facebook group for you to bounce off ideas with other leaders that are having the same struggles that you're having. It really ends up being like this community of people that end up meeting up at all the events and so forth. So one last time, if you're curious. Kathy, day and time that you guys meet.
Oh yeah, Tuesdays at noon, starting February the 3rd,
Tuesdays at
Eastern.
noon Eastern time, starting February the 3rd, and it's 1 hour for 16 weeks. The entire playbook on how to run a real estate company. Doesn't matter whether it's a big downline you got, a handful of agents, or brokerage with thousands of agents. I mean, everyone's been through it, including brokerages with thousands of agents. If we can get the workbook pages back up there, speaking of events, I want to make sure you guys know we have at Glover U an event that is just for you. So if we can get the workbook back up there, I want to make sure you guys have the save the date on this. Again, one last time, Kathy's course is build to 55444. And in the workbook on the last page is the lead up event. There it is. Yep. So lead up, if you can scroll to the next one, the next page. There we go. It's April 1st through the 3rd in Hollywood Beach, Florida. It's at the Diplomat. Save the dates. It's April 1st through the 3rd. It's all team owners, broker owners, recruiters, sales managers, director of operations. This is the one event where you actually have to qualify to get in the room. So you can go to gloveru.com/lead up to see if you qualify. This is the main leadership event that we put on. We cap the attendance at this to 250 people max. Every single person in that room is someone who had to qualify to get into that room. So if you want to see if you even qualify, go to gloveru.com/lead up. Otherwise, mark your calendars April 1st through the 3rd in sunny South Florida. All right, Kathy. Great webinar. Thank you for all the nuggets today. I know a lot of these people are going to be seeing you in your class that starts next week. And to everyone else, we have 2 more webinars left in the series. Go get registered for them, gloveru.com/webinars, or get your agents involved. You can also catch the replay on any ones that you missed at gloveru.com/webinar. Other than that, make it a great Monday, everyone. See you guys.
Thanks, everyone.